Let's get started. So today we'd like to show you 3 tips on usage of SANnav User Interface. So the first tip is about multi-navigation using Command click on the Mac or Apple click also, and Control click on a PC. So what we see most typically is that users use SANnav as if it were a monolithic application like BNA and only use one screen. So for instance, in here, I'm looking at the dashboard and reports, and what most users do is that they simply click here if they want to go to topology, but then in doing that, they lost their context of the dashboard and reports. So they have to go back. And similarly, if they want to go to the inventory, then they lose the context. There is a very simple way to do this. You cannot lose the context. And to do that, so for example, if you wanted to open a new window for topology, you simply hold the Command Apple on Mac or the Control key on PC and then click on the menu. And this will open a new tab. You'll see that it'll change to topology and then log in, and then you see, and now it says topology. Similarly, you can open a new one for inventory. Now you have a third tab, etc. So you could do that for each of these top-level menu. It's important to see that you can open as many tabs as you'd like. You're limited by the browser. So for example, I can open a new one for fault. And in here, I will have anything related to the events and violations page without losing my context of my switches or my topology. It is also possible to launch multiple instances of the same menu. So for example, if I wanted to look at the switches in inventory, but let's say I'm also interested in looking at the fabrics at the same time, so I move the tab over here, and then once I go to switches, now I can switch to fabrics. So this way I have my fabrics inventory, my switches inventory, and you could open more inventory for any entity. It's important to note that the Control click or the Apple click does not work on the submenus here. So for example, if I were to click on Apple click on my host, it will switch the tab simply, not open a new tab. The new tab opening only works for the inventory. So obviously, the number of tabs that you can open depends on your monitor. I'm using Mac here, laptop, and you can see that with 6 tabs, it's okay. But if I were to open more than 7 tabs or 10 tabs, it'll start getting really crowded and you won't be able to see your menus. So we recommend roughly around 10 tabs for proper browsing. If you have a larger monitor, of course, you can open more tabs. That was tip number 1. Tip number 2 is to use multi-selection. So let me go to switchboards here. So to select contiguous entities, you can click on the first one. And let's say if you wanted to select more than all of these, you can do a shift click to select all the entities between the first and the last click. If you wanted non-contiguous, then you switch to the Control or the Apple on Mac, and you select on one, and then you select another one. And let's say you wanted to select from here to here in a contiguous entity, then you switch to Shift, and you select all of these. You can invoke your bulk operations, for example, to set all these tags to T1. And this way I can set non-contiguous entities with using the shift click and command click to select entities. The last trick is to be able to use shift click to sort on 2 columns. So by default, SANnav always sorts on the first column. So here I'm sorting by name. But let's say if I wanted to sort by fabric as well, so if I hold the shift key and select on fabric, so then I will have the ports sorted by name first and second by fabric. So this way I can see the ports by fabric. So shift click on most inventory menus and other menus in the zoning allow 2 column sorting. That was the 3rd tip. So in summary, 3 tips. Use the multi-tab navigation in order to have multiple contexts for your object to make more efficient use of the user interface. For multiple selection, use the shift click and the command click for contiguous or non-contiguous selection. And the 3rd tip is to use the shift click on columns to obtain 2-level sorting, first on the first column and shift click to sort on the second column. That concludes the video today. Thank you.